Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Kicks and Slides, where we bring the beautiful game to life. It is I, your captain, as always, Moche. So I thought, how about we look at my Premier League predictions, the ones that I made before the season began. I just want us to look intently on them to see whether the predictions I made, do I still stand by them or do I change my mind? Especially when it comes to Arsenal, and also believing that United will be fifth place. Do I still think the newly promoted sides will get the relegation or not? Before we get deeper into that, please don't forget to like and subscribe and also comment. Let's engage and grow the comment section. So we start with Arsenal, of course. Arsenal, they begin their game at Old Trafford. Very entertaining game, right? From a United point of view, of course. United played very well, and that's what you would expect from an opening fixture. Fans have been starved of, football for the longest time, for at least 3 months. Now they have an opportunity where they brought Mbumo, they brought Cunha, and it's exciting. So when they see that, of course, the opening fixture at Old Trafford is always going to be hot. But one thing that we should not forget is the fact that the Arsenal defense managed to keep the Arsenal forwards at bay. From that alone, I guess we can conclude that Arsenal defensively are very resolute, and that, of course, will prove to be very fundamental in their chances of fighting for the Premier League. So, if there's one thing I have seen, and I believe that it'll be their greatest strength, is Arsenal's ability to defend. Remember, they scored they scored one goal very early on, and they managed to hold on until the very last minute. So that's what United has. That's what Arsenal has. They also went on to play against Leeds, a team which they managed to beat 5-0, which shows as well that Arsenal do have goals in them. They're not like a team like Mourinho, a team that constantly keeps on winning 1-0. This Arsenal side knows how to play, and they know how to score as well. They also went to Anfield, a game which also left a lot to be desired. We didn't feel like Arsenal obviously brought it, although I felt like the first half they tried. It just looked like Liverpool were the ones that were not in on it, or Liverpool were just seeking for a draw. But maybe that was just Arne Slot's tactics, just relax and just maintain, the intensity of the game and keep them at an arm's length. Don't give in to them. And that's exactly what happened. It looked like the game also was destined for a draw. And also Mikel Arteta had also mentioned the fact that, that was just a game that was just destined for a draw. If there was anything that was going to make either team win, was always something very special, which obviously came in favor of Liverpool. One can argue, why didn't it come from an Arsenal point of view? But, well, that's football for you, right? And that's Anfield at the end of the day. And what I know about Arteta is the fact that he respects Anfield. So there's Liverpool as well. Liverpool started off rocky. They managed, though, to beat Bournemouth in an opening fixture Friday night at Anfield against Bournemouth, which seemed like Liverpool were going to go and win it. But somehow Semenyo managed two successive goals at the later stages of the game as well. It looked like Liverpool were done. But one thing we learned from that game is that Liverpool have a second clutch, because we see them, pulling it and scoring two goals as well, and they win the game 4-2. With their second game, obviously, it was against Newcastle, a game that looked very difficult. It looked like Newcastle had come back. It looked like Liverpool were finally going to get a draw, a game which looked like they were going to win because Newcastle were a man down. And Newcastle found their way back. But with that again, Liverpool found a way to score a third goal. 1 minute remaining, Liverpool seeking that technical ability that they have through the players that they have. They get it with only 1 minute remaining, and Liverpool managed to score with a late goal from a young Rio Ngomoha. And Liverpool, like that, they've got 2 wins in 2 games that look like should have ended a draw. And the third one, of course, is against Arsenal, game which also looked like it was destined for a draw, but Szoboszlai was there. He gave a very good free kick, one that reminded me of Lionel Messi against Liverpool at the Camp Nou, if y'all remember that one, when we were beaten 3-0. That third goal, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It looked like it was a lost cause. It was going to end a draw, but Szoboszlai had other plans, and just like that, Liverpool are the pace setters of this year's Premier League. There's Manchester City as well. Manchester City haven't really done what I expected them to do. They lost against Brighton. They also lost against Spurs. On any given day, these are games that they should be winning. Of course, against Spurs, it's always, a hit or miss because Spurs are kryptonites. When it comes to Manchester City, they just know how to handle them. And for them to be beaten by them at home is a little, much of a shocker there. I didn't expect that. Although I did know that Manchester City are going to need some time. They're going to need some time to find their way back because Kevin De Bruyne is not there anymore. Right now, also, they've lost Checky as well to an injury. So there's just a lot that's going to be needed there at Manchester City. The fans are going to need to be patient. They're going to need, to stick with their coach. He's won a lot. If there's anyone who can change the tides, it is definitely Pep Guardiola. Of course, the fourth one was Chelsea. Chelsea didn't start well. They started with a draw against Crystal Palace. But who are we kidding? Not many would have expected Chelsea to win that one. Crystal Palace are a very good side. A draw, I think, was the best possible outcome. Of course, Chelsea managed to win 2 of their following games. Against West Ham, they performed really, really, really well. Against Fulham as well, they managed to beat them 2-0 as well. So Chelsea are definitely in the mix, and they're holding on tight, to the teams that we thought we were going to fight for in Arsenal and Liverpool. So as for Chelsea, I do think they're going to go far. Will they still be 4th, or do I think they'll be 3rd? You know what? I'd really like to be. If memory serves, I did think they would be 4th, but I said I would not be surprised if they challenged for the league. I would not be surprised if they were 2nd because I know how good they are. You can see with the players that they have, the players they've brought in, so they're definitely going to be in the mix. So maybe in this case I can just move City to 4th and Chelsea to 3rd. Yeah, maybe that way. I think it can work because as what we have seen right now with Manchester City, I don't think they'll be able to fix whatever issues they have as quickly as possible. It might need them just a little bit of time. There's obviously Manchester United as well. I put them 5th. And right now, it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like it. It looks like Spurs, a team which I thought they wouldn't even be anywhere near the top 6, are actually there in the mix. And United, a team that I thought would be there, they're not actually there. So it's really concerning for United. But I think for the fact that they managed to win their game against Burnley, that should help them, with confidence as well. That should also, the international break also came at the right time. So Amorim would also have to, sit that one out and try to think about what he thinks he can be able to change. Because yes, he's got the players. Although he needed to revamp his midfield, he didn't do that. He managed to get a keeper. I thought he was going to get Donnarumma. He didn't get him. He got someone else, So let's just see how that one goes. But United still have a chance. They do play well. They do create chances. They just need to score goals. That's all they need, So there's not really much work that's needed there. But shout out to Spurs. Spurs have played really well, although they lost against Bournemouth 1-0 at home. But if they're going to, obviously be involved in the top 6, they're going to need to do much more than that. You can't win and lose tomorrow. No. For you to be in the top 6, you have to make sure that you at least win 6 games and lose 1. 6 games and lose 1. So for them to just win 2 and lose like that, it's not going to work. Now they've also obviously involved, they've also bought Xavi Simons as well as Kolo Muani. So those guys are definitely going to be of help to them. So let's see how that one goes. Then obviously there was Bournemouth. I spoke about as well as Brentford. And Bournemouth have done well. They've won their first 2 games. They lost the first one against Liverpool, and the next following games they played, they managed to win. So I'm not surprised about that. I'm not surprised about that because, like we said, their recruits is just too good. Their recruits are just too good. And we just see how good they still are. They haven't really changed much. They're still themselves, and they're still going to be a thorn this season. There's also Brentford, of course. They lost a game which they seemed like they were going to win against Sunderland. But I think they're still the same. Blow hot and cold air. But on any given day, I do think they will reach that 40-point, tally. I definitely think they will do that. Then, of course, there was the last 3, the newly promoted sides in Leeds, Burnley and Sunderland. If there's anything, I actually think that Sunderland are not going to get relegated this season. And one of the advantages they have is actually they spent so much as well. They spent so much, almost 200 million euros. That's what they spent. They brought in Xhaka, they brought in Adingra. They also brought in Diarra as well. And these guys are pivotal. They're pivotal. You see how important they are in that squad. And I think that's also what's going to help them not get relegated. There's also, of course, Burnley, who obviously were beaten by Spurs 3-0. They managed, though, to beat Sunderland 2-0, which I think Burnley, against these two newly promoted sides, if they make sure they beat them, it can help them in some way. There are also other clubs like Wolves as well. They're not really performing the way they should. So Sunderland might remain. Leeds also, I think they might remain. But I worry when it comes to Burnley. So I think Burnley and Wolves and maybe Leeds. I think these three sides will be the ones that will be relegated. I think Sunderland FC mean business this season, and they're going to try to hang on. So yeah, I guess that's it for the day. That's exactly what I think. I think Burnley, Leeds, and Wolves will be the teams to be relegated. Sunderland, I don't think they will be. If, of course, they continue how they have so far, winning 2 games and losing 1, 2 at home and 1 away. If they continue this route, not only that they manage to win all home games and lose away games, they also need to at least take draws. They also need to win as well away. But one thing they have is their fan base at the Stadium of Light. Oh, they go mad, especially with that opening game against West Ham. That was amazing to watch. And if they rally behind them this season, I think it could prove very important for their chances of staying up in the Premier League. And I think that's about it. Thank you for watching until this point. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and also engage in the comment section. Help me get to 500 subscribers. Let us grow the channel, and let's go. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.